2, 1. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Delusions of Grandeur. I am your host, David Streggy, and here in the room with me, I have my good friend, Boris. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing okay, and today we are continuing our devilish journey as we continue to cover films that involve or talk about the devil. So, here I have a film that was filmed in 2000. The director's name, and forgive me if I don't say this right, is Janusz Kaminski. The film stars Winona Ryder, Ben Chaplin, and Philip Baker Hall, Sarah Winter, and John Hurt, among others. But let me just go into what IMDb says about the film. And then we'll go into our first impressions of the film. So, a Catholic teacher meets an atheist journalist from a group of Catholics and priests who believe he has been chosen by the devil to be the Antichrist. So, let me just show y'all here. This is my copy of the DVD.
Looks cool.
It's the old snap case from New Line. So, what was your first impression of this film, and was this a first-time watch for you, Boris?
Well, today was the second time with you. The first time was on Monday when I watched it on my own, when I thought we were going to have this discussion. Now, as far as my first impressions go, the movie was interesting. It was definitely enjoyable to watch. I liked the elements of mystery and the way it was unraveling and so on. One interesting thing I noticed is some similarities between this movie and the TV show that I like. It's called Evil. You may have heard of it. There are 2 seasons so far. I have seen only the first season, and I will probably watch the second one soon.
And where can you watch this series? Is it on Netflix?
It was made by CBS. You can look it up online. You will probably find it.
Okay.
One interesting thing about it is that it involves an atheist psychologist and a Catholic priest who work together on solving various mysteries where they try to find out whether some apparently paranormal phenomenon is really of some supernatural origin or some human-made scam. And aside from that, I also noticed some names from the show appearing in this movie. The movie was first, so if the similarity is not coincidental, then the people who made the show took it from the movie. But yeah, so that was an interesting thing I noticed, and yeah, like I said, the movie was interesting, but I must say I found the ending quite disappointing. Apologies to anyone who may be a fan of this movie, but yeah, I personally didn't like the ending.
I myself have seen this film more than once, but not more than twice. So this is probably my second time viewing the film with you. In fact, I don't think that Tammy and I have even watched this film. I watched it with a friend of mine at the time, He was really into it, and he had it in his collection. And then I later picked it up on my own, and I just haven't watched it since. Maybe because it reminds me of my friendship with him. I don't know, but I remembered it having the thematic or the themes that we have been discussing lately, and it just so happened that it was this week's pick. So, as far as enjoying it, I think I enjoyed it at the time. What I do know about this film is that it was a box office flop. It was, or they call it a box office bomb. In fact, Roger Ebert said something to the effect that that it was very visual, but the a film fell very flat for him. And I mean, these are just things that come from people at the time, and this is another one of those that I don't think it was relatively a bad film. I mean, I actually think it could have been more visual than it could have been, but for the time that this came out, it wasn't bad. I mean, it had that it had that air of doom about it. That sense of doom. And to be honest, the part where the psychotic patient escapes and finds his way to the fucking house that they're searching in the middle of this film, that part freaks me out.
Interesting.
Just a little bit, but we'll get into that later. So Winona Ryder evidently plays a young woman who evidently grew up with a troubled past and somehow was taken under the wing of the Catholic Church and became a teacher for young children within some kind of Catholic school. And she also was privy to knowledge of coding or codes and numbers that apparently she was very good at figuring things out. But she also apparently was very trusted by some esteemed Catholic priests to be able to kind of, shall I say, travel along with them on their exorcism journeys. And I guess there was one in particular. What do you think about this very beginning here, where she goes with John Hurt's character, the priest, in with another priest, and it appears that they're going to go and exorcise a demon out of a mental patient. What do you think about this very beginning?
Well, it's somewhat, I guess, by now we could say, stereotypical scene of science versus religion. Like we have this doctor who explains it all in medical terms, and she thinks exorcism is not only unnecessary but possibly dangerous, and keeps claiming that what that man needs is medical treatment and so on. But apparently, since the man himself requested an exorcism, they got an approval to do it, so they went along with it. Well, if that was real life, of course, I would say no. Exorcism won't do anything. He does need medical treatment, but in the universe where this story takes place, it turned out. Well, eventually it turned out the opposite. Although although the exorcism itself did fail because the man just ended up comatose and things got worse later on.
Well, I also don't think that they knew the kind of power they were up against. To be honest, I think this whatever this patient had within him, demon or otherwise, was too strong for um, the priest at the time, and it was so close to the transformation that was about to happen on hand. Or so on and so forth, because there was a coded message that was written all around in this dude's room, and I think that is why Winona's character is here. She actually was able to uncover who he was trying to point them in the direction of finding. Probably and possibly to even help stop the coming of the Antichrist.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we didn't really get much insight into why he wrote it and what his intentions were, or even if it was written by the man himself or by the demon possessing him. That wasn't really disclosed, was it?
No, not entirely. So we're kind of winging ourselves into believing that okay, whatever powers that be are trying to relay some kind of message, and it pretty much spells out Ben Chaplin's character's name, which just so happens to be, I believe, Peter Kelson, and
Yes.
Peter Kelson is a journalist who evidently has written six books on a murderer that evidently he's quite successful for. He apparently has a fiance in his life by the name of Claire Van Owen. She seems to be relatively pretty. His father appears to be a priest as well. That goes,
That's his uncle, or so they say at the beginning.
yeah, but he brought him up like he was his son,
Yeah.
and he calls him father. So it's not until later that Winona Ryder's character Maya Larkin uh, ultimately ends up telling him that he's his uncle, which is his mother's brother, you know, and he's very oblivious to like all the real facts because he really thinks that his father is this Father James character. But well, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. So on the back burner is this story of this journalist who we see him at the trial of someone he's writing about, and he actually goes behind the scenes of this trial and actually goes and looks at this guy while he's like behind a one-way window.
Oh, yes.
As they often put these guys in interrogation rooms and stuff like that. And the one detective walks away, and the dude walks up to the window, the one-sided window, and it appears that he looks directly at him. You know?
Yeah, but it was never revealed if he did really see him somehow or not.
No, but these are the kinds of things that kind of help build up, like things that begin to happen around him that make him think that things are a little different. And it's not until he's in his office and Maya Larkin shows up and tries to give him a tape of the exorcism that happened, and it's weird because he takes it home, and his neighbor is this very old lady. I think she's Jewish, and she acts really strange around him and calls him a noisemaker or something like that, and just seems to act really rude towards him and whatnot. And he looks towards her, and she's like, "What are you looking at?" And then while he's trying to play the tape, he hears banging on his wall, and all he hears is buzzing. So he immediately, when he meets Maya at 2:00 the next day at the library, he basically tells her, "Well, I didn't hear anything." But they end up going to speak to the mental guy that is there, and he's supposedly comatose, lying comatose in a bed, and I guess he hasn't woken up since.
Yeah.
And obviously, you can tell that this Peter, Peter Kels, has some notoriety because the doctor that is taking care of the mental patient seems to be like really excited to meet him, and she seems flabbergasted and like she's impressed by his work, So, so what do you think about this this whole scenario where he's met Myra? What do you think that he thinks about her at this moment?
Well, at that moment he is still an atheist, maybe. At the beginning, I guess he respected her faith but didn't share it. Everything she was mentioning is some supernatural phenomena. He thought there had to be some rational scientific explanations for all of it. And yeah, then there was this tape that he played and he couldn't hear it for paranormal reasons, but that neighbor did hear it, and he even turned the volume up because he thought he might hear something, but he didn't, and that annoyed the neighbor even more. That was kind of funny.
It was a little funny, but I guess the next day when he came back from wherever, because he basically started to get annoyed by Maya because everything that she had said wasn't quite making sense. When she took him to the mental patient, only she saw that his eyes opened, and also she had these ideas about his that he was in fact the man that was supposed to be the Antichrist ultimately. So I mean, even if you and I were told that, I'm sure we would be offended. I mean, if you were told that you're going to be on your 33rd birthday, that you're going to turn into, the son of the devil, or at least, what would you say?
Okay, I personally would laugh if someone told me something like that, but yeah, I guess maybe some people would be offended.
And you're going to turn into the devil, and you're going to walk the earth, and you're going to rule it with an iron fist. That's what you're going to do. So, Do you believe it, or do you not believe it? I mean, these are the things that this man had to deal with, and apparently other things were happening. You know, I mean, one of the priests that John Townsend it was one of the priests that had worked on the exorcism. He came at him with a gun and basically told him some incoherent words, like something about a transformation, you know, and he's like, "What the fuck," you know? So he ends up kind of having a yo-yo kind of a relationship with Maya, where he keeps coming back to her, and she keeps telling him, you know, these things are going to happen, and these things are going to happen on the day of your birthday at 4:55 p.m. You're AB positive. How can your father be O negative? You know, these are things that she had found out. She had found out from going to pick up some information about his adoption. You know, and I know that she was told by the Catholic Church to not look into this. You know, in any way, shape, or form. So I think that the church was trying to push it under the rug, like they normally do when they come up with something that flags their faith, you know, that tries to cut their faith in two. Well, to me, that's what happens in every movie that has something to do with the Catholic Church. If something goes against their faith, they got to either push it under the rug or put it in their own witness protection shit, you know.
Yeah,
Because they've got something to hide. This whole truth, this whole truth that they've been selling to people their entire lives, because they expect the offerings. They expect, you know. I don't know. To me, I feel like the Catholic Church is one of the biggest, greediest foundations on this earth.
Very true. At least in my country, not sure what it's like in yours.
All I know is that not only are they the biggest, greediest foundation, they like to protect their viewpoint on things, I think. And that's kind of shown in here. I mean, you've got this whole congregation of people who believe that that this is a good thing, that the devil is going to be here again. He's going to be, and here's the thing that's prevalent, just like in End of Days. They believe that the devil is going to come to Earth. And this happened in the year of Y2K, to tell you the truth. Y2K was that thing where they thought that all electronics and all the computers would like come to a standstill in the year 2000.
Ooh. Interesting.
All
electric.
Well, no. This is if you look it up, Y2K was this fear that all electronics, all that internet would just like shut down. And it was it was a paranoid fear that all technology would like stop, or the world would end, or something like that. And that's what people thought. I mean, it was kind of a scare, and people were really hyped about it. They were into all this new age crap, and they believed a lot in the year 2000.
Yeah, I thought you said there was a movie about that.
Well, they mentioned it in End of Days, the Y2K scare.
Oh,
Um, but I think they mentioned it in the background on like some like news reporter saying Y2K happening because that happened in the year 1999, and I think I mentioned something about Y2K during that discussion too. So, but yeah, so they really believe. I believe that this movie was done in that kind of fashion. This was like the next End of Days movie, you know, um, kind of, sort of,
mm,
except one of them sacrificed themselves on a spear. This other one got shot. Well, we'll get to that. Um, but ultimately, he. I guess there was something that Maya told him. Um, that there's got to be a pentacle, a sign of protection that's supposed to be protecting him. That's why he wasn't able to hear what was on the tape, and so on and so forth. So he went back to his room and tore it apart, and he found that pentacle like in the fucking ceiling, you know. Um,
I think he found it in the ceiling of a neighbor downstairs, if I understood correctly.
yeah,
Mm, yeah, I guess just right under where his bed would be upstairs, I guess.
and what did you think about his fiance, his girlfriend?
Well, that was a pretty good twist about her when you find out that, throughout the movie until that point, she seemed innocent, like she doesn't make you think too much of her possible involvement in the whole story, and then it turns out that she was one of the bad guys all along, kind of like a twist that could happen in The Omen, like in the second movie with a certain female character. Mm, yeah, it was pretty interesting. I didn't expect it.
Neither did I. I think at the time that I saw this, and I was remembering it as I was watching it. It wasn't like an instant comeback like most films, and I didn't even realize all the bad reviews that this got and that this got, and how many people didn't like this film when it first came out. To me, that was kind of. I just thought it was like a twisty movie, and it had something to do with the devil coming to um, a body on Earth. You know, um, it's just like the second coming of Christ. There was a second coming of the devil that's here in this movie. So, um,
Yeah, although when would have been the first coming of the devil?
well, according to this movie, it was going to happen on the 33rd birthday
Oh,
at the time of his birth, according to Maya. And I guess whoever believes that this will happen. So, and that's what John Townsend, that priest, believed, and that's what John Hurt's character believed too. And meanwhile, John Hurt's character, he is in a coma state as well. And finally, I guess, like three-quarters of the way through the movie, he wakes up and he seems like he's all fine and dandy. But then she proves that he has the devil within him, or at least some kind of a demon, because she's got like this pendant with like a cross and and something like that she puts to his forehead, and this is where they basically have an exorcism to exorcise whatever demon is out of him. But no matter what, it's shortly after this that she and Peter find themselves standing inside of a church in front of a whole bunch of people, and you get his father, who is also we now know his uncle, basically saying, "Did you think you could stop this? This was set in stone since his birth." And that's when he was like, "You killed my mother. I did it for you," and all that jazz. And she tried to tell him, "Hey, don't shoot him. Don't come down to their level, because you cannot fight evil with evil." You know. Basically is what it comes down to. What did you think about that moment there? I mean, when they're standing in front of it.
Well, it was another scene of revealing some apparently good characters to turn out to be villains, and yeah, I guess in the biblical context, it makes sense that he wasn't supposed to kill his uncle, because the Bible says, "Thou shalt not kill," or however it's said in English. I'm not sure, but yeah, basically. According to that, if you do kill someone, you get closer to the devil, apparently, or something like that. But he did end up shooting his uncle, so that was kind of foreshadowing of how it was going to end.
Well, and that wasn't the only thing. Earlier on, he actually had a nightmare, a reoccurring nightmare that he kept having, and he ended up like actually telling like his father and his wife, and she was like, "Hey, you never told me that." Well, I wasn't sure what to think at that point in time, and there's another thing that you told that you were looking up in the very beginning of this film, that quotation from the Bible. It actually does not exist.
Yeah, exactly. The movie starts with what's presented as a biblical quote from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 17.
And what did
It
it say?
it mentions something about that the word of incest will become Satan, something like that. I don't remember it word by word, but yeah, I looked it up, and it turns out they made that quote up for this movie. It does not really exist in the Bible, but yeah,
Which
this
is
character was.
which is actually the first thing I'm going to say is pretty shameful about this movie, that they would use the Bible and basically say something that isn't there.
Well,
You know what I mean? Just to suit their purposes.
in a way, yeah, but this is not the first time it happened in fiction. A
Yeah, but
similar thing.
I know a lot of people who really like take literal meaning out of the Bible, and we're like word for word, like, "I believe anything the Bible tells me. This is the word of the Lord, and you will not slander its name." You know, these type of people. You know,
Yeah, but
religious zealots who really believe everything that the Bible tells them, even if you know.
yeah, but some apparent biblical quotes were also made up even for movies like The Omen, which is one of my favorite satanic horror franchises. As you know, for example, that poem that's mentioned multiple times in the first movie that says, when the Jews return to Zion and the comet fills the sky and the Holy Roman Empire rises, and so on. Uh, that poem in the movie they say it's in the book of Revelation, but no, it does not exist there. Or in the second one, if I remember correctly, they quote some things from which they say is from the book of Revelation, but is actually from the book of Daniel. And in the third one, they mention some so-called Book of Hebron, which they say is a part of how is it said in English, biblical apocrypha or apocrypha. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but yeah, apparently a book that was supposedly excluded from the Bible, but that predicts some things that are going to happen. They said it was called the Book of Hebron, but that was also made up for the movie. It does not exist, and so on.
But yeah, so we get this whole uh, reveal that his father that he knows was his father growing up, and he finds out that his mother was actually killed by him, or whatnot, and he basically accuses him at this pulpit towards the end, and I guess it's at this moment where they kind of escape from well, after him shooting a couple of the members, and you hearing from one of the members saying, "Thank you for serving us so well, Myra."
Yeah, we didn't quite get to know what they meant by that, right?
And they end up driving somewhere, and he basically tells her to shoot him, and she at first it doesn't look like she's going to, and then when the damn numbers turn 666, something happens with him, and then she just shoots him in the head and the heart, and that's that ending. That spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen, if you do not like us explaining away the ending, um, uh, please go watch the movie first before you actually watch our discussion here.
Uh, yeah.
But it's really a straightforward film, to be honest. There's really not. There is a lot going on, but there is a part that I kind of skated over and mentioned earlier. The the mental patient that they went to see in the very beginning. He evidently escaped from his mental ward, and showed up at the house of John Townsend, the priest who had actually tried to kill Peter. Um, and it's when he's chasing her around the house with the knife and puts the knife very close to her freaking eye. And she's seen him in a vision before, which is why at first she's like not scared of him. But then she tries to tell him he's not real. But then when she puts her finger up and he basically cuts her finger, he's like, "Careful, this knife is real," or something like that. That then you realize, oh shit, this dude's actually here.
Yeah, uh, I must say that was pretty interesting. Like normally, whenever you have a character in a movie or show who is struggling with hallucinations, you have this point where they learn to label their hallucinations as just hallucinations, and they try to ignore them, not pay attention to them, not get upset by them anymore. And she even did have a hallucination of that guy attacking her. And then she sees it again and she is like, no, this is not real, but that time it is freaking real.
Yeah. And then while she's trying to run through each room, you see him scurrying somehow, and then it's kind of freaky how he just kind of fucking appears like on top of both of them, and then they run straight into him, and that's when he cuts her, and that's the strange thing. She wasn't really holding her arm in any way, shape, or form as badly as it was cut later on in the film. You know, as badly as she was cut, she should have been injured to the point where she couldn't use that arm in any way, shape, or form. You know,
Yeah.
but in any case, we get to that ending. Why do you dislike the ending?
Oh, well, at first, like I said, no offense to anyone who may be a fan of this movie, but yeah, I disliked the ending for multiple reasons. First of all, because throughout the movie, a lot of focus was on Peter not wanting to become the Antichrist. Like, at first, he didn't even believe it, and when he did start believing it, he wanted to do everything possible in order to prevent it from happening. But then in the end, it does happen. And okay, yeah, earlier in the movie, they mentioned there would be a transformation of some sort, which kind of makes you want to see if he does transform into the Antichrist.
Oh,
What is he going to?
you do you think that there should have been more of a transformation before we she shot him, or do you think that I don't know?
Among other things, yes, I think we should have seen what his full Antichrist form would have looked like.
Oh, so
Uh,
you would have waited to the moment that he had the chance to kill her.
well, no, I wouldn't have wanted her to get killed either, but I don't like the fact that Peter got killed because, like I said, throughout the movie he was trying to prevent it from happening. Unlike, for example, Damien in Omen 3, the final conflict, like Damien had fully embraced his role as the Antichrist, and he did become power corrupted and
So,
everything,
in a
but
sense, this is almost like the opposite of Damien in a way, because now that he's found out that he's going to be the Antichrist, he wants nothing to do with it.
uh,
I mean, he even though he doesn't believe in God, I mean, when there was that moment where he went into to the church, and he prayed to God, and he was like, help me, and then all of a sudden the Jesus statue broke, and the darn thing hung upside down. That was kind of
oh,
cool.
oh yeah, it was. It actually kind of reminded me of a scene in Omen 4, The Awakening, and something in this first season of the Damien TV show that unfortunately got cancelled after the first season.
I don't think that this was a bad film. I think we just had bad people watching the film. Bad people to watch the film and get it at the time. I mean, there. I guess people's levels of what they are willing to accept.
Mm. Indeed. Well, like I said,
Weren't very high.
the movie as a whole, yeah, I did find it enjoyable. It's just the ending that I have a problem with. First of all, I dislike the fact that, in spite of Peter wanting to do everything possible to avoid becoming something bad, in the end he just got killed, nevertheless. So that was what I found disappointing. And there is also the fact that he was shot after he supposedly became the Antichrist, which implies that a mere gunshot is enough to kill the Antichrist, which is somewhat anticlimactic, if you ask me.
Or it also breaks that whole supernatural, superstition I mean, if he actually did or had become the Antichrist, don't you think that didn't kill him? It's possible. Uh, I mean, they're. I'm not saying that this movie was set up to have a sequel of any kind. I'm just saying, I think you're right. How can you just kill the devil with a bullet?
Yeah.
Unless she was actually able to kill him before he was able to become, immortal, which is kind of what we perceive the devil to be, an immortal being that is unkillable.
Yeah, although I will say this effect when the digits on the clock turned into three sixes, that was a pretty cool effect.
Yeah. And I think you saw his face change a little bit, in almost into like a smile, like he was about to attack her, which is why she pulled the trigger.
Possibly. Who? Possibly.
And that is why I think that the ending is a good one, because at the end of the day, we didn't see a sequel from this, and so
Unfortunately.
I think that good begat evil in the end, regardless, even though it was a sad ending. And unfortunately, sad choices would probably have to be made if this ever became a reality. I mean, they obviously didn't find a way to stop it in time. It was only a day ahead, and obviously it was something that was believed by quite a number of people, that this was in fact possible, that a man could become the Antichrist on the third on his 33rd birthday. So it was entertaining for what it is, for what it is. What did you think about the music?
It was okay. There was this one background track that somewhat reminded me of the Omen soundtrack, so that was interesting. But I don't know what this one is called.
Well, I'm looking up the music here for a moment after I get past all this cast. Music was done by Jan A.P. Kaczmarek, and I'm looking up some of the stuff that he's done. Okay, so he's done. He's been the composer for Finding Neverland, Unfaithful, Hachi: A Dog's Tale, and a movie called The Visitor, among other things. Let's see. And I guess he's from Poland. But yeah, those are some of the things that he's. Felony was another movie. Doppelganger, which was a movie with Drew Barrymore, which I know I have, but I haven't seen. Total Eclipse, Quo Vadis from 2001. Let's see. Oh, Bliss, Dead Girl. Yeah. So he's done quite a few things. I guess he did some music for a version of War and Peace from 2007. I think I remember that one.
Cool.
Yeah, I think I do. But other than that, what did you think about the production value of this film?
Well, I think it was okay. Like I said, there were some effects that I liked quite a bit, like this one with the 3 6s in the end, and the hallucination scenes were made pretty well, in my opinion. Like that scene with some dirty liquid coming out of a toilet or something like that, if I remember correctly, and those letters XES appearing on the door as if someone was carving them into the wood, and
or the whole thing that happened with the patient that escaped. Evidently, his body just suddenly, because whatever was in him, basically broke every bone in his body, and blood was dripping out by his like feet and legs that were like at odd angles.
oh yeah, indeed.
So it's not that they entirely showed all of that, but it's like they sort of had that in a dream, and I think I actually wish they would have showed the exorcism a little bit more.
Ooh, good point.
I wish they would have shown the exorcism a little bit. Well, maybe not the exorcism in the beginning, but the one of the one priest, because that one was just done in a dream sequence ish like nature, and you could only hear you could kind of hear what the priest was saying, but I kind of wish that we were like in the fucking room and seeing him lash out and hearing the screams a little bit more, seeing what was going on with her while she was in the room and things of that nature, you know.
Makes sense, yeah.
I feel like that was a cop out. Other than that, I would have to say my favorite scene would be the part where the mental patient showed up at the house. That was pretty creepy for me. So, and
yeah,
so what would be your favorite scene if you could take from this movie?
quite probably the same.
Okay. Yeah, it was pretty creepy, and it was a memorable piece. To be honest, a memorable segment of the movie, and I think I'll take that from this film.
Or maybe when Peter found the pentacle in the apartment below, that was also pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty revealing, wasn't it? That
Yeah.
would probably be my second, and the reveal that his girlfriend was involved in the whole thing. Like
Oh
what?
yeah.
And the fact that they struggled over the gun, and she basically shot her. You know. So, but
Cool.
other than that, let's see. The other thing that I was going to see is what are some of the other movies that this director has directed. So Janusz Kaminski, he's from Poland as well. He's a Polish director, which explains the Polish composer as well. Um, okay, so he directed Bridge of Spies, The Judge, The Adventures of The Adventures of Tintin. Oh, these are things he's had to do with the cinematography. But I guess he's directed only Hanya and American Dream in 2021. So it's actually, this is like the only one that he's kind of known for directing. Everything else he's just been involved with the cinematography. So I
Cool.
guess he was the director of photography on The Lost World, Jurassic Park, Tall Tale, Little Giants, Schindler's List, The Adventures of Finn, All the Love in the World, Pirates, The Rain Killer, Grim Prairie Tales, Jerry Maguire, The Terminal, The Diving Bell and the Butterfly. Let's see. Yeah, Lincoln, Warhorse, The BFG, The Post, Ready Player One, The Call of the Wild from 2020, Oslo, a TV a movie. I guess he. Oh, the new version of West Side Story is complete, and he did the photography on that. That's
Cool.
that's the new adaptation of West Side Story is directed by Steven Spielberg. So, yeah. So he's done a lot of things since. It's just he hasn't really pulled the director spot somewhat since. I think having directed this film probably was like it was so bad, maybe I shouldn't do it again. Which is unfortunate that if a movie is not a box office success, I mean, if you're going into being a director or being an actor looking to get rich or anything like that, you better have another thing coming because it isn't all like handed to you on a platter, you know.
Yeah.
Other than that, did you have anything else that you wanted to add to this movie?
I don't think so. I think I mentioned everything I was going to. What
Okay.
about you?
I'm the only other thing that I wanted to mention that had any relation to it's not necessarily with the movie, but necessarily with Winona Ryder as an actress. I'm not sure when she actually got in trouble for her shoplifting, but I think it was around this time or maybe a little bit before this. I don't know. But I remember she had gotten in trouble somewhere after
Hmm.
Little Women and in between this one. So I know this was when it might have been when she was just coming back to having opportunities again.
Yeah, funny thing, In the movie, they also mentioned her character getting in trouble in the past. So now I wonder if that was maybe inspired by true events.
I wonder too. But in any case, thank you for listening, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's all the time that we have for today. But hopefully, you enjoyed our preamble discussion where we talk about this film called Lost Souls. I mean, I guess it's kind of a mixed bag for me. On the one hand, I like things from it. On the other hand, there are some things that may be somewhat dated, you know. But I relatively enjoyed it. I have it in my collection for some reason, so I must have liked it at the time, and I think I continue to like bits and pieces of it. So it does have some good return quality to it, especially if you're watching films on a channel where we're discussing everything about devils. So, but in any case, like, share, and subscribe. Hopefully, you let us know down in the comments what you thought of this film. And next week, I think we're going to go on about a film called Seven. I hope you come back and let us know what you thought. So enjoy.
Thank you all.